Everyone, this is my pitch to acquire materials and equipment for a designated podcast space in the library here at Plano East, calling it Plano East Podcast Palooza. I am David South, and here's just my presentation. Here's an outline of what we're going to be talking about today, description, objective of this project, what budget I'm requesting to acquire these things, our target audience, some research-backed rationale for the impact that podcasts can bring, what that impact could be measured in, and what we're anticipating, as well as my references for the information that I found. Now, the program itself, the Podcast Palooza, students will have the opportunity to participate in a quarterly podcast competition. Themes will vary from local history to student hobbies and interests. Now, the quarterly podcast competitions are really just kind of a way to promote and incentivize students coming in and having kind of like a guidepost of what could I do a podcast about anyway, right? So if you kind of give them these parameters, it might get some more people in the door of like, oh, sure, I can do a 10-minute podcast about something I'm interested in, right? Or local history. I attend this. I'm a part of this religious organization, or I'm a part of this civic organization, and I can, interview some people and do a little digging. So it's just a way to kind of give that guidepost to people. Of course, this podcasting material would be made available for things outside of this kind of incentivized quarterly kind of competition that would be voted on by librarian as well as volunteer staff to listen to the various podcasts submitted each quarter. But like I'm saying, that if teachers wanted to do an assignment that required the students to create a podcast, they could absolutely reserve the space in the library and use it for that as well. So the objective of this would be to first empower student voices, it's a different kind of production in having your voice recorded and sitting with it and saying, like, oh man, I actually have something to say, and listen to me put together this argument instead of just turning in a paper, never really reading it back to yourself, and just having a teacher grade it. Create diverse educational products. Having this, kids can record on their Chromebooks and stuff like that. But I believe that the ability to sit down with some actual studio equipment is really going to allow students to create something really that they're really proud of, and that's very powerful. Student choice is something that we always want to try and honor. And so if teachers want to give students the ability to submit projects in various media formats, this would allow them the infrastructure to do so. It also is honoring student choice with the competition itself, just kind of making them very like broad topics, like anything local history with, from cities within Plano East area that cities that it pulls from for enrollment, for instance, right? Gives them kind of a loose parameter, but they can do literally anything with that. And lastly, promoting effective research strategies. So one of the things with this would be if you're submitting a podcast for the competition itself, you would have to provide your references. And in order for your podcast to be considered, you would have to have those references cleared by the librarian teacher panel in order to be considered in the first place. So having those conversations with like, what are good resources? How can you increase the effectiveness of your research? Those kind of conversations would be able to take place. So budget and purchase order, I found 10 of these bundles. that are from an approved vendor for Plano ISD. And although $5,000 seems pretty steep, I do believe that having this quality equipment with the library space would really allow students to feel like they're creating something official, professional, and students are going to recognize this type of equipment because social media personalities have this type of equipment that they use and that they're seeing in the podcasts that they create online. Now, the target audience for our students, the first kids, of course, that come to mind would be those creative students. They want to create something a little bit outside the box. If the student teachers give them the ability to do something with voice or with media, video, they're always going to choose that. And so giving them better equipment to work with is definitely going to be a leg up and something that entices them to come in and use the space. Students, again, that kind of goes with students bored with traditional projects. If they have the option of doing like some kind of essay or, essay contest or something, or, book plot contest, come up with your own, like potential story and submit that to the library. Those things they've seen before. This would be a little bit different. And these quarterly projects would, of course, be you'd have two different categories. So you'd have like a solo category and a pairs category that they could record with a friend. Now, I found three very telling articles about how podcasts create effective educational products. So the first comes from Irabo, article they wrote in 2024, and this article says that podcasts overall promote engagement among students. Podcasts significantly improve student engagement, self-efficacy, and overall performance on exams, which is going to be leading me to one of my things that I anticipate seeing from this project later down the line. Students have agency in choosing how they organize and present their information, and students see this podcasting all over social media, and so they're going to be excited to kind of get in and create their own content as well. The second article by Wang and others was all about how literature evaluation was significantly improved with podcasts, which is very interesting to me at first. Students reported a more comfort and ability to interpret and apply primary literature to their reports after creating podcasts for an assignment. And they found that the podcast forced them to do more thorough research than they had done in the past to really understand these case studies that they had to work with for their assignment. And I think it's because you're going to have to talk about it, actually hear yourself talk about these things, that it's not just kind of word vomiting on paper. You actually hear it back, and then you sit there and think, well, maybe I don't really understand this because I can't really talk about it. And so they felt more proficient with the progress podcast that they made. The third article, Positive Podcast Perception, according to Chi and the study that they did, students perceive the usefulness of podcasts. Whenever they were given a survey at the end, they felt like podcasts helped them achieve their educational goals in ways that other products that they produced didn't really give them that sense of satisfaction and accomplishment. So one thing that they did find is that as far as like students learning, teaching other students from their podcasts, you might not just be able to like say, hey, here, listen to your 20 other classmates podcast. That students should be able to, should have to be required to produce scripts and or presentations to really drive the point home. Measured impact, like one of the articles says, I expect improved test scores. Specifically from what I've seen in that research of understanding literature and reports, I think that 5% 5 to 10% increase of students receiving a meets or higher standards in state testing, specifically in English 2 and biology, because they do a lot of analysis of documents in testing. I think that acquiring those skills through this research process would, specifically with those two, see a jump in proficiency in state testing. I also anticipate for those that are going to participate in the podcast quarterly competitions that they would fill out their survey at the end, and I'm expecting an 80% or higher agree result from the student survey that they found it helpful in their learning process. There are my references for the 3 articles that I found. And I believe that this is going to be a worthwhile investment in the students and staff capability of Plano East. Thank you.